I knew she was different, but I didn't know if it was good different, bad different, weird different, incompatible different. Toss up.
So I almost did not date Yardial because he showed up in sweatpants on our first date. Lord, I was about to miss my blessing because he was dressed,
Comfortable.
if that's the word we want to use, inappropriate for the first date. So we all have doubts in relationships, but what if some red flags are actually just a test of your trust, test of the faith that you have, and really just a test of what you think is important?
Or what if they also just red flag? They go red airport flag.
That's valid. So today we're going to be talking about the doubts that we had that came up for us. We're going to talk about the potential red flags that we spotted in each other, and honestly, how God just helped us navigate through all this chaos.
Yeah, I think my red flags for you were basically non-existent. I ain't no fool. I ain't no red flags.
Oh, baby.
But that being said, I think there were some obstacles or challenges or slight doubts that I might have been concerned with. I used the word concerned, but I wasn't actually concerned. I had to be concerned with these. Just to be a responsible adult, knowing that she lived and I did not live in New York.
Yeah.
That was a major obstacle. I mean, I knew I wanted to pursue you, like from the very first encounter, then the first date. And after that, it was like, oh, I definitely want to keep investing. But obstacle close. So then I'm in Atlanta, but you're still in New York. So it's like, all right, so this is definitely an obstacle. I won't say it was a red flag because I definitely was looking at it like a surmountable object that needed to be addressed.
Had you done long distance before with somebody?
I mean, yeah, but not like that was a main pillar of our relationship.
Yeah.
Just at times,
You
maybe
traveled.
that was the situation. Yeah. Also, wasn't in New York. I didn't know your friends, especially your guy friends. There was one particular relationship that you had, still have, but and he a cool dude too. So it's not even a situation of like who is this guy?
So is
Especially
this
once
your
I got to
other
know him.
red flag?
Yeah, this is red flag number 2. That's not really a red flag.
Okay.
So red flag number 2 that's not really a red flag is that I wasn't certain of the nature or history of some of your close guy friend relationships. And it's never been a red flag of like how you are with men in general or like.
And you were really chill about it. Like, even
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a thing.
It's just information that I needed to acquire. I wasn't sure, and I know I wasn't even in the same proximity with you and the relationships to even be privy to how they operate or what the depth of them is or what the history might be. That was something that I had to just like deal with on my own, honestly, because it wasn't like I was going to get the information to make me feel better or know better, and I couldn't outright be like, so what's that like? How y'all known each other? Like,
yeah.
So I wasn't trying to do that either. I just had to be patient and bear witness to what things were. And I'm glad I did it like that because he a cool dude and I haven't seen anything in terms of y'all's relationship that would give me any type of curiosity about the depth of the relationship or the history of, I trust it is what it is. It is what I've seen and it is what I've heard.
Yeah. And that particular relationship, it was closeness.
There was closeness.
The work we did was close, so I could see.
Because there was a creative closeness.
Yeah.
And in how you would describe your relationship, like, people be like, that's my work husband. Like, I don't think
I didn't say that.
I know, you didn't say that, but it was that kind of like sentiment almost. Like, because there was work. And then there's what y'all had built separately outside of y'all's work. So there's that. And then there's what y'all would have built on your own outside of that. So there was a closeness that was professional and personal and I feel like it was still developing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what's this, right? Making sure it is what it is. And anybody, I'm sure, never wants to walk into a situation and it's something more than what you anticipated.
Yeah, I can see that. And I've always been the type that had a lot of guy friends ever since I was little. I'm not a tomboy, but I'm like with the homies. So it always feels normal and natural. But especially as you get older, you can see how a significant other can look at that and question if you haven't always been around that.
And I had questions about all of them, but like over time, all of them were answered and there was less curiosity. But yeah, you gotta be chill. I mean, you can't go into it already sticking your chest out. Like, Because at the end of the day, I'm the new element because I have clear intentions for you. Don't necessarily mean that like I'm owed that closeness immediately. Like every dude you already knew is already closer to you than I am. So
that might be a red flag if you came in acting mad puffy.
Yeah, it's like
fall back,
bro. We don't even know you. But third red flag is not really a red flag. For me, it was like a red flag of just a situation where my like job security or a job. I ain't had no job.
He's trying to find an eloquent.
Yeah. For the eloquent way to say it. I ain't had no job. But
ain't no job, Craig.
Tommy, it's Tommy.
Oh no, but Craig is from Friday.
Oh, yeah, but Craig got fired, I guess.
You ain't no job.
You ain't got no job, Tommy. And then Craig was, how you get fired on your day off?
Oh yeah. Okay.
I didn't know how to explain to you that like, yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing for work right now, and I'm kind of okay with that. As an actor, I mean, I wasn't tripping, but I was like really searching and building and planning and plotting and scheming, especially when I was trying to figure out, well, if I need to be in New York, what's that look like? But at the same time, it's hard to try to convince somebody to date you when you have nothing to explain why they should date you. So that was difficult. Yeah, the third one really was being aware of how I probably come off as a red flag. So, and I'm sure with a lot of people, like, it's easy to be like, nah, I can't do a step tour because like I ain't even got this, I ain't got that. I really can concern myself with like what you might have thought about that. All I could do is be honest. What did help me was when I met your friends, they recognized me from TV. So that don't hurt. But,
like, I don't got a job at the moment, but people have seen me working. This is a thing.
Yeah.
That for me was very different and new. But I do appreciate you were honest and clear up front. You're like, I know you might see me on TV or your friends might see me on TV, but I ain't got it like that. Like, that's not where we're at right now. I was just like, oh, okay. That was very forward. You could do with this information how you want to do with it. Which is why I could take them up to God and be like, Lord, what am I supposed to do with this? Because there was so much like honesty and transparency in it, even if it did feel a little questionable.
All right, throw me your flags.
So I think you just did a perfect segue. My first red flag that I had for this young man was the fact that you were an actor. So it was two parts. One, the idea that I have of actors is just like instability, always on someone's couch. And I was like, is this the life that I really want to live? I don't think this. Now, granted, that was the thought I had of actors in my head. And then two, I feel like I always attract creatives, always. And I was just like, girl, we gonna stop doing this. We're gonna intentionally try something different this summer. If you're gonna date or go on dates, you're gonna say yes to people who you wouldn't normally say yes to. So I feel like you snuck in because I didn't know. It just felt like, this is what I said I didn't want to do. What is happening? So that was a red flag. And because it's more so the instability piece that I had in my head, and I'm giving big Capricorn energy, like that's not sexy. Like stability is sexy, comfort, sexy, love that for me. And so, but I did have to realize that it wasn't necessarily creatives, right? I don't want to group all of them together. People have creative professions. It was more the character of the people that I was dating, not necessarily their professions that I should have been looking at better. And not saying they all have bad character. If I dated you watching this, not saying you had bad character. Some of y'all have bad character. But it was more so.
So why are y'all watching this?
They don't care about what's going on in our life now. I'm happy. Thank you. What's that, Ariana Grande? Thank you next. Thank you next. Appreciate it. Anyway, so that was my first red flag. My second red flag is you showed up to our first date in sweatpants. And I know people might be like,
they were nice sweatpants though. And I was traveling.
You got excuses. I'm just saying this is a red flag.
I'm just saying there's reasons.
Okay, that was a red flag. I didn't know these reasons when we first met. All I see is you come walking down the street in a long sleeve black shirt and black sweatpants and it's 85 degrees outside. So I'm also confused.
It was nighttime. It was warm, but it was also 1,000 people smothered up against it.
Yes, it was warm out. So, but for me, the sweatpants really was indicative of how you present yourself and how you feel about yourself, how you show up. And because I went to fashion school, presentation, self-expression is big for me. And it's just like, choose to like, this is your self-expression moment. It could have been done differently. And I get it. It wasn't like sweatpants. I just thought they were sweatpants. It was like some Atlanta brand too. I didn't even know them.
I have an Atlanta outfit on.
So
it was black.
Imagine it's New
subtle.
York girly and you coming through with just this very Atlanta brand. I was just like, what is happening?
Atlanta brand.
I'm confused. I'm confused. So anyway, I felt like how you show up, how you present yourself shows like how you care about yourself, which is an extension of how you will care for me. So again, it seems small, but for me it was a thing. And then the third thing that I would say was a red flag was that as we start talking more, and I knew that you were in LA at the time, and then you lived in Atlanta, you were from Atlanta, and then as we got into more conversation, then I found out that you actually lived at home. And so I was and you were like, oh, I'm in between everything right now. Like I'm between jobs, like I left Chicago, I'm trying to figure out if I want to be in LA. And I was and for me, y'all, it bounced back up to the first point of, actor, instability. Speeding the narrative that I didn't want to have, but you was giving me great information to be like, this is why. I would say this was one of the biggest things for me. I had to really look at that and be like, is this a sign of immaturity or is this a season that you're in? And what's the game plan? What's your plan in this season? I guess with that, it brings me back to this idea of the whole red flags challenging what you think is important. Because at that point, the things that I said that I wanted, like somebody who was consistent, someone who was of integrity, like the things you've shown me so far, like your character, being transparent, even sending flowers the next day and listening, like you had all those things. And I'm like, dang, but this isn't there. On no one's list are you being like, and I hope he lives home with his parents, or I hope she's doing whatever. I hope she has a bunch of guy friends. Those things that come up that are not, that we don't plan on our list, but you were meeting the other things that I thought were really important. So I had to toss that up to God. And I also said, I have my own place in Brooklyn, and we're in our 30s. I think if we were in our 20s, it'd feel a little different.
That's exactly why I felt I had to disclose that information ahead of time. Not to be like, just so you get them, this is what's going on with me right now. But just so you didn't find, because that might have been information, like you said, you could have used to make a decision before finding it out and being like, well, I wouldn't have been here had I known that. So, well, let me go ahead and tell you the things that I'm sure might bring you pause. Not to get ahead of it, which is a result of doing that, but just like you said, it'd be transparent because that might be information that you wish you would have had sooner than later. I know what it's like. Like, I'm not naive to that or ignorant to that. I'm like, I know what that looks like. I'm also wasn't ashamed of that.
Yeah, I did appreciate about you. I know we're in the red flags part, but what I did appreciate was things that could come with shame. You didn't have that or didn't feel like that. Like, it's just be clear. Like, this is what's happening. This is how I feel about this. This is a season. Like, you confronted it. It almost made me have to, again, like, what do I think is important? Like, I had to like reevaluate that. But then also at the same time, my discernment to be like, let me see. I know if he's saying this is what it is right now, let me see if there's like active steps and things being made a larger goal or like a big goal within that. I'll say another red flag, talking about our exes, you had nothing great to say about any of them except one. And I was like, no, I look at that. Because I'm like, is that a sign of someone who's not self-aware? So it's everybody but you. So they all them crazy. But the more I got to know you and heard more, I was like, and also other people's perspectives, I was like,
oh yeah, that's
I was like,
other people can corroborate.
I was like, oh, there was.
I will say that it's not maybe that I didn't have anything good I could say, but in the context, we're probably talking about traumas, triggers, things that led me to where I am now, which are normally like being pushed into a new direction or a better direction. Yeah. So, I mean, there's things I could say. Like, I don't want to make it seem like all those people are terrible people. In case they friends is watching, I don't know if they would be watching. Maybe if you are watching, I hope you're doing well.
Happy Dar's exes.
But
we're happy now.
Been happy. Could never take my joy. But
I will say is that people corroborate. Corroborate it with you. But in me hearing that, like you weren't choosing well either. Like certain things, I'm like, well, that's like a red flag, and you would just be like, oh, I'm gonna continue. Let me dive into this. So my whole point about that being a red flag is I think that self-aware people acknowledge where they are in a relationship or like what their part is in relationships, like downfall or breakup. Even if the person cheated on you and did something, and this might be evolved self, I'm joking. But even if someone like cheated on you or did you dirty, inside of that, I'm still gonna be like, where did I allow my boundaries to be violated that I allowed you to do this? Because somewhere along the lines, like overlooked or I didn't call out or I allowed my boundaries to be violated. And so I just think there's always a self-reflection. So that's what I'm saying. That was something I noticed. I was just like, that's crazy. So
I never
what?
Expressed where I felt like I have grown in relationships and shortcomings in past relationships.
You did. You expressed that.
Okay,
Yes.
just want to make sure we got that on camera.
Yes. I would say the last thing was you asked me to be your girlfriend fast. I know. Well, I'm giving you my red flags. You asked me to be your girlfriend super quick, and I was like, okay, skeptical. What? We're just getting to know each other. Girlfriend. And you know what it made me think? When I was in the shower and I was thinking about flags and what I'm going to talk about today, I was like, that's a me problem, because I think for people, I think white people get in relationships really quickly, and no one, and they could be going on like 3 dates and they're like, this is my girlfriend now. But for Black folks, it's like a whole long drawn out process. I feel like sometimes, like, I don't know if it's on both ends, it's a game that gets to be played. That's how I've experienced it in my dating career. A lot of my homegirls, same way. People aren't just like snagging a boyfriend quickly. And so when you were just like joining my girlfriend, I was like, what's wrong here? Also, I was in a very intentional season. So it was like, I don't need a boyfriend just to have a boyfriend. Like, we need to be really trying to like towards marriage, like that. The fact that it made me feel skeptical, I was like, be a me thing, because that's just not been my experience. But I also think, again, I'm generalizing, but I think Black folks, it just takes longer.
I mean, yeah, everything takes longer with Black folks.
And it don't need to be that way. I was just
it don't always need to be that way.
Then you like somebody, they like you, like you just. Okay, so those are all my red flags, babe.
Ooh.
It wasn't that many. Let's make up. I love you.
Yep, love you too. I think there's always a bit of trust and intuition that you need to employ when you do counter a red flag. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So I think when it came to us being long distance and not being in the same city, at least in close proximity initially, I think my intuition was telling me that I was in a place in my life where I could choose to be, or I could be wherever I chose to be. When we met, it wasn't difficult. It was a bit of a 360, but it wasn't, at least 180. But it wasn't difficult to change directions, because I was like, well, New York is New York. Like, I could definitely do what I'm trying to do in New York too. Like, maybe that's really the full circle movement right there. Like, maybe that's really what God been tinkering at this whole time. So I was like, cool. So my intuition was that maybe this person is my person, because I would love to be in New York. Like, I make that happen. One, like you were like, and no offense to Omaha, but like one, like, you know, I'm in Nebraska for the next 10 years. Like, if you want me, come meet me in Nebraska. I'm sure Nebraska is great, but I just felt like I feel like I needed to trust my ability to exist anywhere I chose.
So how was I able to determine where trust needed to come in, or if it's just a red flag that I need to be like deuces about? When it comes to you living at home, that was one of those things where I said I had to really like take that, you living at home in that like this instability season, I had to take that up to God, because that was new and that was different for me. And again, knowing my personality, the things that I value, it was just kind of like, I'm stuck, like pausing and stuttering now. That's how I felt. I was like, I don't know. This was what I do with this. And so what I would say is it actually turned out being an amazing thing, because you being at home, when I came to Atlanta, it was such a soft place to land. So like my mom's here. That was really nice. But being at your, like, you have a family unit like built in, and it was just a level of support and like warmth that I didn't get in New York. Now I had friends and I had community, But it's just different when you're around family. So like being around my mom constantly, like that was amazing. Like being able to be around your family and feeling like they were becoming family, or especially them like really opening their arms to me, felt good.
And I think the difference though is because it's not like it still was just me. It was my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
It was just them at the house. But because this is where I grew up and where my family is from, there wasn't like my siblings weren't even in the house.
Yeah. Well, I'm saying for me, like coming from New York where I had to be hyper independent, and it was like if I'm not doing it, it's not gonna get done. Like it's me and I have a support group of my friends, but like all the things I had to do it on my own. Like you're running a whole house on your own. If you get sick, like there's just a level of running a business, it's hyper independence. And so it's exhausting. Like it's exhausting. Like sometimes you're like, can I just be taken care of? Can someone just hold me? Can someone do something for me right now? And so that when I got here, we were on our own. If we like had moved in together, if you had your own place, I'm sure just knowing how you are, like there would have been that level of care. It felt different being like in a family unit. So like your dad coming down in the morning like, hey Lucia, like what's going on? Like even your mom being like, hey y'all, what we having for dinner tonight? And I'm like, oh, this is cool. I haven't had a what are we having for dinner tonight moment in forever, because it's like, Alicia, what are you cooking yourself for dinner tonight? You know, or like where are you going out with your friends? So like those moments, and even just like checking in on your family when it's like, all right, you're gonna go visit your grandma, you coming, Alicia? And it's like, yeah, we're gonna go visit Auntie Liz, like those things. And for me, it was actually Grandma Liz. It was actually healing, I would say, because coming from a place of having to be hyper independent in New York, and like I said, this was a soft space to land to come and be in. There was a piece of that I didn't know I need. There was times where I would just get up in the morning and like I would go on y'all deck and journal and do yoga, and you'd still be sleeping. Your mom would come out there like, oh, I'm so glad.
Running or something.
Okay, cool. So your mom would be like, oh, I'm so glad someone's actually using this deck. Nobody sit out here. And I'm just in there soaking it up like, oh my gosh, the sunshine, the peace, the quiet. It felt nice. It felt nice. Nice to open up the fridge, and I didn't get the orange juice, but there's orange juice in there because I might have forgot. Those little things.
Yeah, that's true, because I was wondering, you know, how is that different? Because we both came home to our families' homes, but it's different for you to experience me while I'm at my family's home. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think that for sure helped us all grow closer, because it's different when you're dating someone and you go home or you go to their home to like visit their parents. There was none of that. It was like, Alicia's always here. And I'd say that, I'd be like, oh my God, they're probably so sick of me. Like they're probably so sick of me. And then you were like, the one time your dad was like, where's Lucia been at? And I was like, oh my gosh, they care. They actually want me there. And that just, it just like, that felt nice. Then I would say like same thing, just the career path piece that just took a lot of faith and just prayer. But what God said to me early on was we would be fine. And he's done this to me plenty of times. There's one time I was raising $30K in 30 days back in the day for my business. And the Lord was like, in a dream, he was like, it's going to look crazy until the very end. And at that point, 30K, like raising that much money was like a lot of money for me. So it's the first time like doing it. The business is new. And I remember like 2 and 3 days before, we probably were only at, I don't know, like $8,000. And it was a Kickstarter. So if you don't hit the 30K, you don't get any of the money. And I say that to say, if it's 2 and 3 days out and you're only at 8K, your goal is 30K, it's not looking like you're about to hit the numbers at all. But the Lord had gave me a dream and was like, it's going to look crazy until the end. So I stood on that. And I was like, 2 and 3 days, I'm like, I'm not going to be nervous because I already know he told me. And so with us, like I saw your actions. Like you weren't someone who wasn't working and just, like I saw you auditioning. I saw you perfecting your craft, like doing like your own workshops. Like even if it was just doing yoga with me or running, it's like your body is an instrument as an actor. And so it was like just different ways that you were bettering yourself. Like if I didn't see those things in you and like that discipline, then it'd been like, yeah, nah, I'm out. Like what's happening here? But because I saw that in you, it was just like, y'all will be fine. And it's like, just trust Alicia. And I was like, oh Lord, but I'm figuring it out and he figuring it out. How we both figuring it out together. This is not the season that you have from us. but that was the season that he had for us. So I just had to observe your actions. I think that was like a big piece. Just observe your actions. Just know that, the word that he gave me.
Same. I mean, that's all I had. That's all I could really do. I mean, that's what trust, I think, comes from, because I think one of my main spiritual gifts, my faithfulness. So, like, it's not hard for me to have faith when I don't have actual evidence that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
But trust, I think, could be a little different, because there could be evidence, but then it's just like trusting that the evidence says what it says it says. Like, it is what it says it is. So, like, I just had to trust that this information I was getting was true and accurate. That I could actually take this information and make good decisions off of that. It did feel like I was setting myself up for embarrassment, or...
Yeah. That honestly segues into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, was what are the tools that you use that can help you discern what is God, and you need to have a little more patience, and it's just stretching your trust in what you think is important, or what is not a red flag, violation on the play, and keep moving.
So you running down the field, you making plays all over the place, breaking ankles, snapping necks. Next thing you know, big whistle, flag. What do? What tools do you have to overcome these flags? I think for me, overcoming the challenges and obstacles that arise when you first start trying to date, I think a major one is to just make sure you're staying true to your identity. I was very adamant about showing all my hard edges very quickly, especially when we shared intimate space. Like, one of my first trips staying with you for a while. What, sharing intimate space? We were sharing intimate space.
It sounded sexual, though.
I did not say, what do they say now? Knocking the boots?
Sigs.
Rubbing socks?
Okay, no one says that. Go ahead.
But
when you came to visit me.
But it was after the first short visit and when I was there for a while. Whenever I did Momentum, but I was in your intimate space.
And my apartment was little. It was a loft, but it was small.
So I knew that I have this phenomenon that when I'm trying to be a good person, sometimes you come across as a flawless individual. And it's just like, dang, I do want to be a good house guest, but at the same time, I'm trying to date this woman. I don't want her to think that I'm folding my socks every morning when I wake up.
That is not our experience.
My everyday reality. So just making sure that I had a North Star for myself, for who I was. And even when I was considering moving to New York, like, not just trying to get any old job, making sure that I know me. And, like, being an actor is not my sole identity, but it's what I do. So I'm trying to find everything I could in terms of acting, reaching out to my contacts. But, like, that was within my lane. I wasn't bouncing outside of myself just to make it make sense to be in New York, to date this person. Like, you want to do it the right way.
No, you don't fold your socks every day, but you do a decent job at, like,
normal person.
Like, keeping it together. I would say who your circle is matters. Who your friends are, who family members that you decide to entrust in these beginning stages. I'm big on saying, hold that space sacred. Hold that space sacred. Everyone doesn't need to be involved in that process. And because specifically for us, I'm going to go back. I hope you don't feel like this is attacking you, babe. But I'm going to go back to you living at home and being in flux between jobs when we met, right? As a man, we're taught that they are providers. And so there should be things in place that you can take care of me and make me feel, you're setting something up for me to, like, enter. And on the, like, emotional security side, like, that was there, right? Like, I saw your character, saw how you treated me, how you showed up, like, listened, and just how we communicated really well. But those other areas weren't there. And just any city in this good USA, but I think specifically in New York, it's very like, wait, what he do? Where's he at? Where he live? What he out on? What was he wearing? And there was just none of that. So even on the first date where it could be like, oh, what do you have on? Do you have, like, Rick Owens on? It's like, I don't know, y'all. He had some Atlanta brand sweatsuit. Don't even know. So what's going on? So where he at? He in between everything right now. I know y'all seen him on TV, but he's in between. Okay, so you going to Atlanta, you gonna be with your mom. Oh, he's there. So you gonna stay with him for a bit? at his parents' house is where we're by. And so I know that sounds crazy. To me, that sounded crazy. Like, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, that sounded all the way normal. But what I do know is that, and what I'm thankful is that the people that I entrusted with that season, they knew that I was praying. So I was staying tapped into what God was saying. They knew that I had discernment. And they also, I trust that they were also praying for me that I would have clarity in that season too. Because I'm sure some of them were like, I don't know. I would say specifically my cousin OJ, she was one of those people who was definitely like praying for us. But if you're not around a circle that's going to affirm you or pray for you, at least pray with you to get clarity on those things, it's easy for things that seem out of pocket, out of place, seem like red flags, for someone to like speak down on it and girl, knock you or man, knock you out your blessing. Cause that could have been like those things. If I would have like let them be the overarching thing for why we didn't continue to move forward, like we wouldn't be sitting here right now in this beautiful life that we get to live together.
But what was OJ saying was good? What types of things?
I don't talk about what she told me.
But I don't understand. You would be telling her things, and instead of you thinking she'd be like, yeah, I don't know about that, she would say, no, that's good.
Yes. Oh. Yes. Yeah. Or not even telling her things, hoping that she's like, that's crazy. Like, I'm just talking about the state of our relationship, what things are looking like. And there was no judgment. There was like, it was really her focusing in on the character pieces of you. I think when we were having like a season of celibacy, it was just like, oh, wow, for how long? Okay, y'all are continuing. Like, even if there was other things, a guy who's willingly like opting into that shows a level of respect. It shows a level of him having to like lean on the Lord to pull through that season. And then also just his level of commitment and discipline as well.
Okay.
Cool. And then I would say in general, like God never gives you the full picture. Like he never gives you the full picture. If he gave us the full picture, there would be no need for faith in any of this, right? With all of this, what we're saying, I guess our hope is that like you trust your discernment and pray, and that the Lord is going to steer you. He's not going to steer you wrong. He's always going to steer you in the right direction. You just got to be open enough to notice if some things are truly red flags or if the Lord is stretching you and just testing you.
Yep.
All right. Hey fam, so I created a part 2 of this video because we shot some extra content. We have rapid fire Q&A where we're giving you all the things that you might have questions about if you're watching this video, but we didn't have time to put it in here because this one was already so long. So if you're still watching, click the link somewhere around here and tap into that next video. Promise it will be helpful for your life. So if this video helped you in any way, please like, share, subscribe, comment below, you know, what your favorite red flag was. But if you want more real conversations on just faith, love, and relationships, subscribe. Become part of our family, Life with Alicia and Bernard. And if you want to get to know more about us, somewhere around here, there'll be a video on how we met and how God brought that together because it was a whole journey, y'all. See you next time.
Peace.